Hi everyone. We're going to do 4A, the beginning of Unit 5, which is called Taking Control of Your Finances. Now, the reason it's called Taking Control of Your Finances is we're going to look at all these different things about saving money and paying bills and doing a budget and all those things. If you don't know what's going on, then you have no way of controlling it. So the first thing we want to talk about is cash flow. Now, what is cash flow? Cash flow is your income minus your expenses. Now, sometimes you can have a positive or you can have a negative. A positive cash flow means you've got money left over. A negative cash flow means that you have spent more than you have earned. So we're going to do an example of this and see how that shakes down and how you are going to calculate on a monthly basis. You can do this on an annual basis and then divide by 12 if you want, but we are going to look at a couple of different scenarios. Okay, so the first thing that it says in here is the table shows the income and expenses for an individual with a full-time job who is also a part-time student. That probably means a lot of you guys. We want to find the net monthly cash flow. Assume that the earnings are after taxes, so it's your take-home pay, and we'll talk about taxes in section E, and assume 1 month is equal to 4 weeks. It's technically not, but that's okay. All right, so we have our salary, which is $2,700 per month. So that is the income. Okay. And here are all the expenses, and we've got to turn all of those into a monthly expense so that we can compare our income and our monthly expenses. So if rent is $1,150 a month, the monthly expense is $1,150. If groceries are $100 per week, then to find our monthly expense, I have to take 100 times 4, which is $400. And just to stay in the habit, I'm going to always put this in dollars and cents. Utilities, $115 per month. Health insurance, semi-annually. Okay, so let's look at what semi-annually would be. Semi-annually is going to be once every 6 months. So that is once every 6 months. So to find that, we're going to take the 470 and divide it by 6 to see what 1 month would be. And we get $78.33. Car insurance is also semi-annually, so we're going to have to take $380 and divide it by 6, and we end up with $63.33. Gasoline is $30 in a week, so I take 30 times 4, and for the month that would give me $120. Phone is $90 a month, so that's monthly. Tuition and fees is given to us annually. So what does that mean? That means once each year. So to find out what that works out to a month, I take 3,000 and divide it by 12. and I get $250 a month. And then miscellaneous is monthly, and I don't know what all that would include. Probably entertainment. I don't know, whatever you put in there that doesn't really fit into a category. You could make this list a little bit more specific. Okay, so to find our cash flow, I'm going to take the salary minus the monthly expenses, which is going to be $2,700 minus, and let me add all these up, I haven't done that yet, $1,150 I thought I had, sorry to waste your time on this. And I get 25.66. So the net cash flow is $113.34. So this particular individual, without changing anything in their habits, still has $113 left over every month. Now that could be for emergencies, it could go into savings, whatever. Okay, so you're going to do that on your own. If you will notice in the lecture notes and the documents, there is this form, and it has 2 other pages with this. But the big thing I want you to do is think about what your monthly budget is. Where does your money go? And it can be very, very enlightening. The first time I did that, it was unbelievably enlightening as to where my money was going and how much money I was blowing without really thinking about it. And one of the things that I thought about was up until this year, I taught high school. And it was in Georgetown, and we were right down the street from the Sonic. So every day at lunch, I would go and buy a Route 44 Diet Dr. Pepper to get me through the day. So on average, with tip and everything, it was $3 a day. How much did I spend over the school year? Okay, well, let's think about that. Now, over the school year, we can figure it out by weeks or that sort of thing, but I want to show you, kind of how I did it. Okay. Students are different than teachers. Teachers work 187 days in a school year. Okay. That's what our contract says. So I've got 187 days here. Okay. So I had a Diet Dr. Pepper each of those days. So to find out the spending, it just is 187 times the $3. And that gives me $561 in a year. Now, one of the discussions we had in class was everybody has this. It's called the latte effect, and the reason I call it the latte effect is because most people don't go to Sonic, but they do the whole Starbucks things. So we spent some time in class where everybody contributed so what is your Sonic run? And boy, we had a lot of interesting answers. We had manicure. We, of course, had Starbucks. A lot of us are doing, what do you call the drinks with Red Bull? That's what I was looking for, Red Bull. It could be anything. It could be an after school snack or a lunchtime snack or anything that is your treat. And I think everybody has one of those. And if you do, that's fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that as long as you are aware of actually what it's costing you. And that, you might want to put that money towards something else if it's not very important to you. This was extremely important to me. Okay, so that could be under the miscellaneous category. The other thing is, if you notice in the expenses, there was nothing about credit card or credit card debts. So particularly we're going to talk about it in this and as well as in 4C when we talk about loans. You have a credit card with an annual interest rate of 25% on the unpaid balance, and your balance averages $800. Okay. Now, when we talk about this more in depth, we're going to talk about making the minimum payment and that sort of stuff. Right now, I just want to show you the cost of having a credit card. So we want to be able to find out what is the monthly interest payment and how much is the annual cost of interest. Okay, so you keep an average balance. Let's do the annual one first. I don't know why I did it like that. Okay, the annual cost of interest is 25% of $800. Of course, we know to convert this to a decimal, so that's 0.25 times 800, which gives us $200. So if you maintain a balance of $800 on a credit card at the rate of 25%, which is not unusual, then that's costing you $200 a month. I'm sorry, $200 a year. So what is the monthly interest payment? Well, there are a couple of ways we can do that. We can take the annual interest divided by 12. That gives us $200 divided by 12, which comes out to $16.67. Okay. Now, that's because we calculated the annual interest first. Otherwise, we could do the 25% divided by 12 times the $800, and once again we still get $16.67. So that's $16.67 a month that you're spending just to maintain that balance of $800. And again, we're going to talk more and more about that, about credit cards later on. Okay, well, let's talk about the cost of taking a college class. Not only do you have to pay for tuition and fees and books and all those things that go along with it, but it takes time away from you earning money. If you're spending time in class, well, you could be spending that time working, so it's costing you not only the cost of the course, but the money you lose from a job. Okay, so you could take a 16-week, 6-credit college course, which requires 18 hours per week of your time and is $85 per credit hour for tuition. Or during those hours, you could have a job that pays $12 an hour. What is your net cost? So what is the actual cost of this? Okay, so your cost is going to be, whoops, and that should be an equal sign. Let's switch to different colors. The cost of the class plus the lost wages. Okay. All right, well, let's look at the cost of the class itself. The cost of the class It's a 6-credit class, $85 per credit. So the cost of the class is going to be 6 times 85. Okay, so this is going to be the credit hours, and this is the cost per hour. Okay, now let's look at this lost wages thing. The lost wages, we know that it pays $12 per hour, and you're losing 18 hours per week, and it's a 16-week class. So we can calculate this by finding the $12 times the 18 hours per week times the 16 hours. So this is the hourly wage. This is the hours per week. And this is the number of weeks. Okay, so what do you get here? 6 times 85 is 510. 12 times 18 times 16 is 3456. So the actual net cost of the class is $3,966. Now this is really simplified because the class is, you're going to have books or supplies or that kind of thing. Now the next one is just something to think about. It says the average college graduate earns about $1.2 million more over a career than the average high school graduate. Is this expense worthwhile? Well, I think overwhelmingly yes, but there are a lot of things to think about. If you get a degree in ancient history, is it going to really pan out that you make 1.2 million over? If you get a degree in engineering, that's pretty much certain. So there are just an awful lot of factors involved in this. And also there are an awful lot of careers that do not require a college degree that make a lot of money. So, but that's just the average. But you have to make that decision for yourself. Okay. All right, so there are some other things that you have to make some decisions for about on yourself, and that is when you're making comparisons. And for a lot of us, a new car is something that we are really interested in, and that we would have to really think about. Okay, so you currently drive 305 miles a week in a car that gets 22 miles per gallon. You are considering buying a new fuel-efficient car for $18,000. That's how much you pay after you trade in on your car that gets 50 miles per gallon. Insurance premium for the new and old car are $1,000 and $400 respectively, and those are annual. You anticipate spending $1,800 per year on repairs for the old car and having no repairs on the new car. You assume that gas costs $2.50 a gallon, which is about what it is right now. Over a 5-year period, is it less expensive to keep your old car or buy a new car? Okay. Initial thoughts. I don't know what's going through your head right now about whether or not it would be cost effective. And notice at the bottom here, there's some other things to consider when you're thinking about buying a car. Okay, so let's look at the old car. Okay, so the old car gets 22 miles per gallon, 305 miles per week. Okay, that's going to be the same it gets 22 miles per gallon. Okay, so let's go ahead and put that in. The old car gets 22 miles per gallon. Okay. Insurance on the old car is $400 per year. You're not buying it, so the purchase price is $0. And let's see, what else does it say? $1,800 per year on repairs. So this is going to be $1,800. But now notice we're looking at this over 5 years. So I'm going to have to take 400 and multiply it by 5 to get the cost of insurance for the 5 years, which is $2,000. 1,800 times 5, which becomes $9,000. And we'll get to this in a minute, okay, because this is going to be interesting. Now let's see what we can do on the other one. Okay, so the new car is going to be $18,000. So we do have a purchase price. The insurance is $1,000 a year. So that's $1,000. And again, that has to be for 5 years. So that's going to be $5,000. And then repairs, $0. Now the other things that's different about this is the mileage. You get 50 miles per gallon. Okay. So that gives you 50 miles, and I forgot to do that as MI. That looks like meters. Miles per gallon. Okay. Okay. All right, now let's see what it says on the gasoline. It says that you drive 305 miles per week. But once again, we're looking at 5 years. That's going to be the same for both of these. There are lots of different ways to do this, but I'm going to show you. This is my thought process. Okay, so we have 305 miles in a week. So I want to know how many miles in 5 years. Okay. Well, there are 52 weeks in a year. So 1 year would be 305 times 52. And then in 5 years, it would be 305 per week, 52 weeks, and 5 years. So that's going to give us a total of 79,300 miles in 5 years. Now you can do this using what we did in dimensional analysis. If I have 305 miles in 1 week, there are 52 weeks in 1 year, and I want 5 years. Okay. My weeks cancel out, my years cancel out, and I'm left with 305 times 52 times 5 years, which gives me 79,300 miles in 5 years. Okay, so if I get 22 miles per gallon, and I also know that this is $2.50 per 1 gallon, and I want to know the cost. Okay, so what do I start with? I know that I have 79,300 miles. Okay, I need to get rid of the miles because I want to end up with gallons. Excuse me, dollars. So I can say, all right, well, I have 22 miles for 1 gallon. And then I have one here that is $2.50 for 1 gallon. When I do that, my miles cancel, my gallons cancel, and when I do the multiplication, I get that the cost will be $9,011.38. Now, if you struggled with this, I would recommend that you shut off the video and do this part. Try this one on your own. Okay, but I'm going to kind of rush through this one. Okay, so 50 miles per gallon, and I know the cost is still $2.50 per gallon. That's for both of these, right? $2.50 per gallon. So I want to convert 29,300 miles to a cost. So that is going to give me 79,300 miles over 1 times, I want to get rid of the miles, 50 miles for 1 gallon. And now I want to get rid of the 1 gallon, and I know it's $2.50. And when I do the multiplication on that, I get $3,965 even. Okay, so what is the total cost of keeping your old car? $20,011.38. The new car is going to be $26,965.00. So the old car is the cheaper. But there are some other things to consider when you're buying a new car. I'm not one of those that buys a new car. I only buy a car when the one I have poops out. So my last car I had for 17 years, and the car I have now I have now had for 11 years, and the one before that, I don't remember how long I had it, a long time. But that's, that's not something that's important to me. It is to some people. Okay, but some things that were brought out in the discussion, other factors when making the decision would be the longevity of the old car. One thing that wasn't brought up, but I know is on a lot of people's mind, is the carbon footprint. If your habits are not changing, it might be worth it to you to get 50 miles to the gallon instead of 32. Okay. Safety, reliability, looks, the fun factor. I said cup holders. The only thing that my car does not have that I would like is a rear view camera. But anyway, that's that. Okay, I'm going to switch videos, so we'll get started on some other stuff in the next one.